Okay. Hi, everybody. It's Deborah here, and it's
Norma.
yeah. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And yeah, we're really pleased to come along with another episode of the Sphere of Being podcast, which is all about caring for those who care for others. So a lot of care home managers, teachers, nursing staff, doctors, people who'd be thinking, you know what, I give so much to other people, but I need a bit of me time and how to make sure that I'm all okay. So that's what we're here to do. And we're here to go through the benefits of our experience and help people on the journey along the way. Yeah, we have a good old banter and a natter at the same time. So that's good. So yeah, so today we thought we'd talk about journaling because it's a recent activity of mine. I think I've been doing it now for the past 3 months. I had a bit of a break and I've now gone back to it. But it's helping me. I can talk about that in a bit. But Norma, do you journal?
I do journal, Deborah, and I have done for some years. Like yourself, sometimes I go off it and then I start again. But mainly what I use mine for is looking at patterns, because when, like every quarter, I plan for my business. So every quarter I look back on my journals and I can see different times when things happen, you know, even in other people's lives that have affected me. It shows the patterns that they're having as well. Because I can write down and say, this bothered me today about one of my boys, or, you know, one of my neighbours or friends. And you can work out like these, and you think, oh, there's a pattern there. So you can use it for that. It's really good. And the actual thing of writing and getting out your mind, out your body, physically putting it somewhere you can see it, is taking it away from you, isn't it? So I love journaling. Yeah.
That's really interesting because I started journaling, as I said, about 2.5, 3 months ago. And it was so that I could, what was the purpose of me journaling? It was so that I could record my progress in my own self-development. I'm single. I don't, my family situation, my lifestyle situation is that I'm on my own, but I've got my little dog, Tilly. But I don't have anybody to talk to necessarily. And a lot of stuff can go round in my head. And I thought one of the things to do with the journaling was to get it out there on paper, my thoughts, my feelings, my observations about things, my list of things that I'm grateful for, the list of things. I'm a lister. I like lists. Putting down the things that I was working towards manifesting and realizing throughout the day, oh, that's another little thing that's just happened that's taken me closer to what I thought I wanted to manifest. But if I hadn't written it down, I wouldn't have remembered, and it would have just gone into the sea of everything else. And actually, yeah, I will share this because, you know, it's important. I won't say names or anything, but there's been an instance really that recently that triggered me, and it took me back into my feeling of not being good enough, not being seen, not being heard, and also being inclined to go towards a trauma bond. This particular episode was about this event took me right back to where I knew I was comfortable in the situation with my previous home life, you know, the abuse. And this event was like I was drawn to it because I was drawn to the things that were very similar in the trauma that I'd had, and it evoked the same known emotions and feelings, to where I felt I've got to make it better. I've got to fix it. I've got to give of myself without thinking about me. I've got to try and manipulate myself and people please. And I caught myself doing it. And through the journaling, I was able to, like you said, and I hadn't thought about it before like this, the pattern what I was writing down as I was re-looking at it and revisiting these pages of where I'd written it, I thought, oh, hang on a minute, I'm going down a pathway that I thought I'd mastered and I wouldn't go down again. But this took me off guard and I was following the old pathway again.
Yeah, I think that's the mastery bit of it though, isn't it, Deborah, really, is the recognizing it, catching it, and then coming away from it. Do you know what I mean? Like when some people think when they've mastered something, it's gone for now for good, but it's not.
It's
It's still
not.
there. And that acknowledgement, and that's like a safety net, really, to catch it, look at it, and then move away from it again is a massive thing. And when you can do that, the more you do it, the more you practice it. And some days you might actually drop the ball and it might get away from you a bit, but the actual holding it together and bringing it back to you. And if you're journaling all the time, you can see these patterns come in. And that in itself is therapeutic, isn't it? To actually be, basically you're discussing it on paper with yourself, which is quite deep work, really, isn't it? To be able to do that and to look at yourself in written form, if you know what I mean. It sounds a bit strange saying that, doesn't it? Yeah, but we're looking at us as a book. Yeah, you know, the next chapter. And as we turn each page in the journal, yeah. But even the physical thing of turning the page in the journal, there's a new page. How do I want to write this one? How do I want to write today? You know, because every chapter is a different chapter. We can read, you know, write our life through that forward journaling as well as reflecting. It depends what kind of, well, you know, I mean, I do both. I do a chapter on reflection of the day and then a journal of what I want to happen tomorrow. And I tie that in when I go to bed. I read it just before I go to sleep. So it's the last thing I see. So it starts working in my subconscious overnight. so that's my bit of crazy journaling that I do. Yeah. But it's just each to their own, like everything else we've discussed, it is for each person, isn't it, to do it their way. And there's no hard and fast rules. I don't think about journaling. It depends what you want. If you use it as a monitor or an expression or like you say, to monitor your growth and to look back on it. If it's worth doing, it's worth recording, isn't it? If something's worth doing in your life, even the hard work, the shadow work, you know, the dark side of things, record it anyway, and then you can start seeing the light being shone on it. You know, you can surround it by light if you want to, by lights or candles. And literally, you know, if I get stuck, I light a candle and I'm putting some light on the subject. And I know that sounds a bit whoop, but that's to me, I'm just bringing the light in, some more light on this subject. Let me see it from another way. You know, and to do that sort of journaling, and like it's part of self-mastery, isn't it? Like you say, you're mastering that trigger in you and then moving forward with it. And the more we do that, we sort of like weaken these things and they do fade away from us. I don't think they ever go. I do think there's always something else because they come like from different angles. So they're not always, it's not always the same thing that'll trigger it. It could be a different comment or a different smell or a different sound, different circumstance, whatever that's going to be. You know, it's very complex, isn't it? And I think that by journaling, we can get more and more like stress or anything out of us, out of the DNA, out of our core, out of our being, onto paper where we can see it. And for growth, it's definitely, if you're going to do something, record it. And then you can see how great you are. Because we forget that bit, don't we? We forget all the good work we've done. And we look at the little struggle we're having or the big struggle we're having. But we forget the actual, you know, I've done all that. I mean, if I look back over even the last 2 weeks and I think, wow, I just didn't think I'd done this much. And you know, it's just literally when you're doing it, it boosts your confidence and your self-esteem as well, because you're like, I am succeeding. I might have like 2 out of 10 this week have gone a bit pear-shaped, but the other 8, well, you know, well done, mate. Even if it is shadow work and that triggering, you know, it's managing that feeling in you, that or whatever that comes up as you know, there's a lot more to it, isn't it? And I think you can use journaling in so many ways. And you can have one for triggers and one for progression and one for, you know, self-mastery or whatever. You can have 10 journals if you like. You don't have to have just one. I mean, I've got it down to a fine art because I've done it for years. But you know, yeah, and some of them I don't ever want to go back and read because that's gone away from me now. I've moved on from that, and it's not really ever a part of me anymore. It's my history. So that's what I use mine for, and I just find it really helpful.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What I do as well as I write I was speaking to a lady, she said the other day, she said, so do you write in the first person? And I went, yeah. And she said, interesting. She said, some people don't. But she said it can be powerful if you write in the first person, i.e. I, because it's actually coming from me. And I had to be honest with myself and say, I'm going to write warts and all.
Mm.
You know, I'm going to write, it can't be a glossy kind of not real thing or the best version of me. It is warts and all. So
Yeah.
I write it as a cathartic way of getting something out of me. But also if I'm, you see, so what happened was I did something as a strength of actually the journaling and the self-knowledge of actually this is, I asked it the question, as I said, you know, I put in the journal, why is this happening? What's it trying to teach me? What lesson is here in here to help me become a better version of myself? I mean, we're all right as we are, but wouldn't it be nice if we can even be, you know, an improved on version? And I worked it back to that little me, that little frightened child who never thought she would ever be able to get or be loved, never get the recognition, never know what the potential outcome would be, which is really scary because one day one thing would be okay and the next you do the same thing and it's not okay. So there wasn't that stability there. And with that self-reflection, I was writing all this and then it became clear, oh, it's more than just the here and now. This goes back way back. So that helped me to identify that bit and to be completely honest. And then I asked it, what would be the best thing for me to actually then activate and do? And it told me that I needed to write something or speak to this circumstance. I won't go into any more detail, but it was interesting because I'd asked if there could be a discussion, nothing. And I thought, right, okay. Then I wrote in a text and I felt at ease as soon as I'd pressed send. Once that had gone, I thought, I've done it. I've done it. I've actually done the thing that it didn't matter what the outcome was then. I stood up in my own person to deal with this in the way that I was being guided to deal with it, with love and humility and compassion, without attachment as to what the result would be. And that's the first time in my life I've ever done anything like that in this type of situation, which I wasn't worried for what the outcome would be. And
yeah, that's a lot of growth there, Deborah, isn't it?
Yeah. And that journaling helped me. And I read back over the last couple of weeks as this was building up. And I could see, as you say, that journey that I was taking. So it was very helpful to act as sort of like memory points in that, going, oh yeah, okay, this is now gently leading on to this, into this, and asking for that intuition to help me, to guide me through that higher power, whatever we believe in, whether it be a religious thing or spiritual or higher power, or even if we just believe in ourselves, is to say, well, what is that telling me? What is my gut reaction? Listen to my gut reaction and not be driven from here. And it made a big difference. And this was very different to what I did. And it's like the fear of the unknown and embrace it. And then I did it. And it was because of the journaling that I was able to see the sequence of events in the next stage. It really helped me. And as the outcome happened, and there was a response to it, but that's almost like immaterial now, because I did the bit that I was the most fearful of. And once I'd done it, I knew I'd broken the cycle. And that's the power of the journaling from that perspective. And then this morning, what I did is I wrote that out to clarify the outcome and everything that happened as a result of me doing that. And I felt really uplifted and I felt a lot of love in my heart. and I actually put down congratulations to me.
Oh yeah,
Wrote
good.
it down. I'm terrible at drawing. If I put my mind to it, I can draw. But just I did a big circle and a smiley face in there, you know. So it was just like, congratulations to me. You've really achieved something.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you say, I might have forgotten that. Well, I probably will in the next couple of months because it will get blended into everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's down there now on paper. And I said thank you a lot to the universe for giving me that lesson. So yeah, as far as yeah, sorry, I'm just going to ask you the question if you don't mind. I keep everything in one journal because for me it's just like good to have it all there. But you mentioned that you can have lots of different journals which might suit somebody else. What would you say to that? How can people go and think about journaling in different journals for different things?
Yeah, I think it's like anything really. It's like if you say like you're planning events or something, like you'd have an event, say if you go and do diaries, and then you could have one of you on a diet and exercise thing, so that's in that book and this is in that book. Some people can write it all in one. I do mine like an essay type thing to myself. But some people might like it in separate books, because by picking up the one with the work on, say, shadow work and the bits you're doing there, that can be, you can see the progress in that, you can see where it is. Whereas if you're going to do a journal on something that is progress and taking you forward and you're looking at the two on the same page, some people get pulled back to that, if you know what I mean. So if they open the book, write all the shadowy bit down, close it and move it, and then come on to the progress and the self-development and the future type stuff, then that's in a different book. But it's each person is so individual that it's up to them how they do it. Like you say, you could just draw it. If you haven't got really, if some people would rather speak it. So if you want to speak it and have as a journal, go on to something like Otter AI, speak into your phone or the machine or whatever, your computer, and then copy and paste it onto a document, print it out. So you've got it as a hard copy, but you've just said it. And that's quite good for people like me who just like to ramble on for hours because then they can ramble on and look at it again and think, wow, that's what I meant when I said it. Because again, we learn differently. Everything's different for everyone, isn't it? So it's finding that bit that's for you. And it depends where you are, because you might switch between one and the other. There might be times in your life, if you're going through something particularly bad, that you want to record that section on its own. So then that's fine. Whatever suits people. It doesn't have to be one rule. You know what I mean? If you want 4 journals this week and then put it all into one next week, that's fine. It's not a problem, is it? It's just finding what's right for you. And now it does help you. And as long as you're still monitoring it and managing it and looking and thinking, am I progressing with this? I mean, give it time, at least 12 weeks. You know what I mean? Don't just like do it for 2 days and think I'm not changed. 12 weeks is time to have a new habit. New habit. I meant habit. Obviously meant habit. Yeah, so or a hobby. Yeah, there we go. Mixture of 2 words. I'm making my own language up now, Deborah. That's fine, isn't it? Normalisms everywhere. Yeah. So to have that new habit, embedded in you, if you do that, then in 3 months I will give you a good guide. And honestly, I'm more than guaranteed that 3 months, when you look back over 3 months, you will have changed in 3 months just by literally if you just write blurb down all day, I just have a brain dump every day. It doesn't matter. It gets it out your system. So it's just finding what works for you and trial different ways. Try it, try one for the fortnight, see how you go, try another one, and then think, actually, I like that way better. And the time of day you do it, some like it in the morning, some in the evening, whenever you want to do that journaling. I would suggest, because it works for me, but again, everyone's different, to do it around the same time every day, because that's a pattern then you build up in your subconscious that, right, now's the time for me to go and look at that bit of my life, and to do this for myself, and put it in with your mindfulness. Like we say, we integrate it into our lives, put it in somewhere that it fits and you're not going to be disturbed while you do it, and you can just enjoy doing it. Both sides, shadow and happy, whatever, just enjoy the process and see how it goes. Some people actually make a brew and sit on their own and, get all cozy in the dressing gown, have a cup of tea, whatever, and just sit quiet and do it. Some people just do it like on the bus, whatever. And I've got a friend who actually gets a train to work and she journals on the train because she likes the sound of the train. And I'm like, okay, I personally couldn't do that because I'd be terrified of losing my journal and I need it and I don't want somebody else to read it. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, but it's just fun, isn't it? It's just finding out what works for you and then enjoying doing it, and talk to other people. Say, do you journal? Why do you find it? Google it, look it up, just do what's right for yourself. and enjoy the process. That's what I'd say is most important, as with anything, to make sure that it's something that you like doing. Because if it becomes something, oh, it's a chore, you're not going to do it, and that growth won't happen. So
yeah, you're interesting there because when I first heard about journaling, it was after our podcast friend Mel Robbins, who was talking about journaling, and I just thought, I've got enough to do. I haven't got time to do that. And then I thought, no, well, actually, the whole thing about this year for me is doing things differently. That's my theme for the year, doing things differently. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose if I can squeak it in for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or what have you? I don't have to do it all at once. I can come back to it throughout the day if needed. So I started it, and within about 3 days was hooked. It kind of just like, I've got a journal. Oh, I like this. I really like the experience. So actually I was getting up a bit earlier to do it. But then what I do is I put the day of the week, the date, and then I put the time that I'm doing the writing. Because what I'd like to see is if there's any influence between what time of day I do it and the times of thought processes that I have. But I'll try and nip it in between the second cup of tea and my breakfast. That's where I'm
that's a good time.
Nip it in there for 10 minutes, because I was finding that in the evening I've gone through so many pens because I'm just like right. And that wasn't sustainable. I got up to 21 days of doing it every day. And the reason why I did it is I know because I'd marked out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so the day. But then, isn't it interesting? I went away for a couple of days to visit a friend, and I didn't do it. And then I didn't do it for like 2.5 weeks. And then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've not been journaling. It just kind of dawned on me that I haven't been doing it. And 21 days is almost like that 3-week period, isn't it? Around it, that building a habit. And I thought, had it become something which I thought I had to do rather than I wanted to do. But once I've now got back into it again, I'm not necessarily doing it every day. I'm doing it when I feel that I've got something I want to journal about, which is interesting. And it'd be nice, as you say, to look back at some point and have a think about, is there a progression? Is there a pattern? But the wonderful thing is that it does, for me, is it helps me make sense of things.
Yeah, definitely. It is it's a good tool for things like that. You can get so much out of it in different ways as well. It's and even spotlight which people you're hanging around with and friends and family that your mind's not the positive mindset. And I don't mean like you're picking on your friends, just that you can think, oh, it was a with today, oh, no wonder I felt like that. What did they bring up in me? Why is it when I'm with that person I come away feeling like this? Because that's something in us, isn't it, that we can then work on and go, I'm gonna go, like I'll just say it, I've got a sister who can be a bit miserable. She's listening, you are.
Bless her.
But I still love her so much. I still love her so much, but she can get a bit down, should we say. And I know before I go there now, I protect myself, and I go and I know that I'm going to be dealing with like, oh, they can't be bothered today, don't feel like it today, doesn't matter today. And like, oh, okay then. And I can and just stay for less time and go less often, which is a sad thing. But I've tried the motivation, the doing things with, the helping out, the sorting out, and none of it worked. So until she's ready, you can't do till they're ready, can you? So when she's ready, and she
can't fix people.
This is it. We be people pleasers, but not people fixers. It's a shame, isn't it? We can't just fix the world, but we'd only fix it how we wanted it, and that might not be right for everyone.
And sometimes what we want isn't even right for us. So.
Well, that's right, definitely. We have lots of them, don't we? But so I just know that I tailor my time with her, really. And I've told her, I've said to her, this is why I'm doing it, because it's having an effect on me, sort of thing. And it might sound selfish, but until I can deal with what that is in me, I don't know. And with the upbringing I had, it's probably some mother issue I've got that needs looking at. You know what I mean? So yeah, perhaps it's something me and her can discuss, and it'd be great. But so it's just finding them things, isn't it? And it's when it's a nice to and not a need to do, it's better, isn't it? You know, and it's
Yeah.
nice to do it, not need to do it, because it's a choice. We don't have to do it if you don't want to. If you hate it, put it down, don't do it again.
Yeah.
And do you know what I love doing? I know that we're getting to the end, but what I really love is I like touchy-feely things. So I like books that feel nice. Like I like to feel the leather. I like to feel the fuzzy stuff. I like furry ones. So all my journals are like either really fuzzy or really like touchy-feely. And I love them because when you're holding it, it's that thing, you know, I can't go in like Dunelm or somewhere like that. I touch everything. I touch everything. I'm literally touching curtains, cushions, everything, tea towels, the lot. I touch everything. I'm a nightmare. And even if it says don't touch, I'm like, oh, I really want to.
Oh, now I've seen don't touch.
Yeah, don't take me to a museum. Don't take me to a museum. So yeah, anyway, that's me rambling again. There we go.
Oh yeah. Well, I had the photographs of you being escorted out various museums. I've watched the exhibit.
Yeah, don't touch it. The big dinosaur bell being bones on the floor. Yeah.
I want to touch it. I want to touch it.
Oh, I know. Just one finger. Oh, I love it.
You must have been a really funny little kid if you want to touch it.
Oh, it was horrendous.
Oh, I mean, I tell you what, my girls are louder than my parents. Don't touch it! Don't touch it!
Oh, I just have to, like, you know, ding, ding, ding. Can't help it. Oh Lord, never mind.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. And it's funny actually with this whole writing business. You see, I don't journal on a keyboard. I don't do it online, you know, I don't do it from a laptop or from a phone. I've got a book. And that's my journaling book, and I have the pen. And I think there's something about the whole thing about writing it out, writing it and getting that, you know, the whole motor, whatever the motor thing is, you know, and you're doing that, you're holding it, and what your thoughts are is going through the pen. And it's and for me, that really works because I like to write the whole thing out. I can't sometimes read my writing.
Yeah, doesn't matter,
a number of words I'm like, what was that? You know, can't read it. But the thing is, it's just for me. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to read like a chapter of, you know, Jane Eyre. It doesn't matter. And what I felt the other day when I was going through this issue is I couldn't feel love in my heart. It just wouldn't open. And then, or gratitude, it just wasn't coming. And I've experienced a lot of that recently, you know, being loving and gratitude, sending it out there, and it's a wonderful feeling. And I want to get it back, but obviously I had to work through this blockage, this shadow work, which is a good word for it, shadow work, isn't it? And that whole thing about writing it out, but also knowing. So like, I've learned this, I've learned that, thank you, and saying thank you on the page, writing the thank you numerous times. And then all of a sudden this morning, I got this feeling of this old familiar glow that I'd lost for a little bit. And I'm like, lovely. Oh, it's coming back, it's coming back. And it is like, and I wrote, thank you, I'm pleased for the experience. I know now that this was meant to be for everything. It was right timing, right thing. And one of the things I put down is what we resist persists. What we resist persists. And when I surrender, let go, and don't know, it's that uncertainness, that whole thing where you go, oh, I want to control it. Well, we can't really effectively. And I wrote that down, and all of a sudden I get this light bulb moment, and I go, yes. So I wrote yes down and a smiley face, because I just thought that encapsulated what it was. And that's when I said congratulations to me, with a big smiley face again, because I know nobody else is going to read this. Yeah, God, I'll have to burn them before I die, you know.
Well, there's a book in everyone. You never know, Deborah, do you? Where the
journals, you know, or heavily redact things. But yeah, that was really interesting with that journaling, knowing then that I've walked over the bridge and I'm on the other side now.
It is, it's highlighting them situations as well, isn't it? So you can see that you can achieve them things. You know, when we know we can do something, then we know we can do the next thing. You know, when like with your triggers that you've had, when you know you can catch them and you can sort them out, you become less fearful to you, don't you, really? Like you say, what you fear most stays there, it doesn't go away. I like when I write, I imagine like energy going from my brain down my arm through my pen, and the ink is actually my thoughts. Obviously, I'm thoughts because they're on paper, but it's making that like like brainwave into reality, isn't it? It's getting it literally out your body, just through the whole arm and the pen. See, my shiny pen.
No, your
Yeah,
lovely
I just
pen.
I just have to have these things, you know. So
I've got
so
a
yeah.
networking pen, very boring.
Oh, I've got all sorts. Yeah, this is fun. I did have one with like little spikes on my fingers when I first started writing with it. But my grandson actually borrowed that, and I won't see that again. He's 5.
Oh,
But he
that's
loved
on
it. Yeah.
permanent loan then, is it?
Oh yeah, you can imagine. It doesn't matter, does it? You can have everything I've got. But yeah,
Oh,
I like things that because that's very tactile. That's bumpy and lumpy and shiny at the same time. So
oh, it suits everything,
yeah,
every need. Oh, well,
yeah.
that's lovely. I'm looking at the time and we're about
Oh
to
yeah, we're getting there, aren't we?
close off.
Flies.
Does this go by in a blink of an eye, these, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, so if anybody, I would say, if anybody's thinking, okay, I'd give it, I gave it a go and I really like it. It's been really beneficial for me. It sounds like, you've been doing it for ages and it's
Yeah, I love
something
it.
which yeah. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? If we care for others, leave a bit of time for ourselves, do a bit of journaling, it might just help
Move
some
it
of
along.
those thoughts out. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, we're
And do
going
a
to
yoga.
close now. Sorry, Dan, talking over you. Apologies. But we're just going to close up. And yeah, we're lovely. So see everybody again. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, do be in touch if ever you think that, you'd like to have a word. Okay, take care,
Thanks,
everybody.
Deborah. See you
Thanks,
soon.
Laura.
Bye.
Take care,
Bye.
darling. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.